Bethesda has long been a company that I've praised for their Nintendo Switch support. I loved Doom on the Switch. Still one of my favorite Switch games, honestly. But Wolfenstein 2 I felt was a step down from that, and with the announcement that Wolfenstein Youngblood was going to be launching on the Switch on the same day as other consoles. Don't forget, that's still something we don't see very often, a game get released on the Switch the same day as it comes to like the PS4 and the Xbox One. So when I heard that, I knew I had to check it out in hopes that it would be a big step up from Wolfenstein 2. So is it? Well, let's talk about it. In terms of the visuals, we'll start there. I'd say this game is actually an improvement in many ways over the release of Wolfenstein 2. The picture is much clearer, you don't have that Vaseline smear effect as bad as it was in 2, that made it like really blurry. Detail may have taken a bit of a hit, I think, in some areas though. Like, man, during the in-game cutscenes, some of the faces are legitimately terrifying. They look like pre-renders you'd see in like a behind-the-scenes video of a game's development or something. There's a lot of pop-in, like again in these in-game scenes, sometimes the camera will be cutting between people and you'll see the backgrounds constantly popping in and out. It gets kind of annoying. There'd be areas in the game where there's an effect like smoke, and rather than really seeing the smoke like move, it kind of just seems like it's teleporting around the area. But I think maybe that's what it took to not have such a fuzzy picture like we had in 2. Again, if you go back to that video I had, I would talk about how it was actually kind of straining on my eyes to play that game docked on a big TV, where I didn't really feel like I had that problem in Youngblood. Frame rate holds up okay, pretty similar to the last game. It'll definitely drop during frantic firefights, but not so bad that you're, not feeling in control of your character or have a lot of stutter. It definitely feels like Panic Button, I'll say this for sure. Panic Button did their job in terms of porting this game over as a port job. It seems like they maintained as much of the visual quality as they could, bumped it up in some ways from the last game, and scaled things back as much as they had to keep it playable. Now let's talk more about the gameplay, the gunplay in specific. I think that holds up. It's just as good as it felt in Wolfenstein 2. That's probably the aspect I praised the most. How good the guns felt, how fun it was to kill the Nazis. Similarly, the guns feel weighty and are fun to shoot. Enemies will be sent flying, explode, or just get completely deleted based on what you're shooting them with. Fans of gyro aiming should also note that there is gyro aiming in this game, but in many ways, this game also plays very differently than the past titles, which is also where I think it runs into a lot of its issues. This title focuses heavily on RPG elements and an open world style of exploration. At least, I think you can argue it's open world, albeit a very basic one. You have your main hub area and you'll get missions from NPCs there that will send you out into different districts on the map where you'll have to get a data pad, maybe assassinate a general, that sort of stuff. But it gets very repetitive, as each area is, again, not very big. The enemy layouts and everything stay, I think, pretty much exactly the same. I don't think there's really much randomization in terms of enemy placement. So you'll find yourself venturing through the same maps over and over again, and since this is an FPS, it feels almost like playing the same level a lot of the time over and over again. There are some cool locations, don't get me wrong, but you'll get tired of trekking through some of them pretty quickly. It seems to me like this was done to sort of pad out the overall playtime of the game. Again, one of my main complaints from Wolfenstein 2 was the shorter length, and this game as well, I think, can be beaten in about, I think if you play just the main campaign and a few of the side quests, probably get like 12, 14 hours maybe. That's definitely not going to be a completionist run, but I bet most people will get around there. Of course, longer if you are trying to do everything. But once more, with the repetitiveness, I don't think that's very alluring. The reason you may want to do more of the side quest, though, is because of those RPG aspects. Your character gains XP, levels up, progresses through some skill trees, as well as augments their weapons. I am always weak for some weapon customization, I will admit, and being able to take some of these already crazy-looking guns and make them even more outlandish is something I really do enjoy. But in terms of, say, the skill trees, I find them to be pretty uninspired. Like, you'll get something like a stealth cloak, but then the rest of that tree is just, oh, you move faster while stealth. Stealth lasts longer. There's a whole tree for looting enemies that's like oh, the first skill lets you loot more health, then the next lets you loot more ammo, then more armor, etc. These aren't like major abilities that you're going to be excited about working towards or unlocking. The trees mostly seem just slapped together. And of course, when you have all these upgrade systems with the different currencies, you know what this game just absolutely must have? Microtransactions! Yay, your favorite! Now, they aren't that bad in this game. You're able to only buy cosmetics with them, not upgrades, but they feel scummy. Cosmetics are way overpriced in the game if you want to buy them with the in-game currency, in my opinion. Like, you'd have to sacrifice multiple weapon upgrades, let's say, just to buy like one skin. Yes, it doesn't impact the gameplay, but still is kind of shady, and especially when we're talking about a series that is supposed to appeal to a more old-school shooter fan base. But for the upgrades in general, you'll get them at a solid pace, so it doesn't feel like you really have to grind or anything to get through the story. Which, yeah, let's talk about that cringe fest. This really makes me want to go back and play the first game in this reboot series now, The New Order, because still, like I said in my review for Wolfenstein 2, I haven't played The New Order, and when I was talking about the terrible dialogue and story sequences in that game, people told me that The New Order wasn't nearly as bad. So I guess story-wise, this series has really gone downhill. You play as the Blazkowicz twins, children of the previous protagonist, BJ Blazkowicz, who are searching for dear old dad. The best way I could describe this duo is like a much less funny Beavis and Butthead. I guess they were trying to go for this female dude bro type deal, but I
guess it's just up to us then.
I say, what time is it?
I think it's time for Arthur and Kenneth to prostrate this sticky wicket.
Fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah!
yeah, it just doesn't work. They are consistently annoying to listen to, and these idiots don't have a wide vocabulary either, so as you progress through a mission, let's say, expect to not only hear a lot of eye-rolling dialogue, but expect to hear many of the same lines repeated, often. But now, the main draw of this duo, the allure of much of the game, is that it is fully playable cooperatively with a friend online. In terms of the online play on Switch, I've had matchups that ran the gamut, honestly. In a better situation, I'll notice my co-op partner maybe teleporting around a bit, but my gameplay won't be significantly impacted. And in like a worse case, I've had my character effectively lock in place for several seconds with my gun like phasing in and out of reality. I would say if you have a specific friend you're looking to play with and both of you have a good internet connection, I think you'll be alright. But I've definitely had some random games that were unplayable. And trust me, you'll want that real life friend by your side because my god, is the co-op AI dumber than a box of rocks. Specifically, if you get downed, there's a system where you have a limited amount of shared lives where either player can revive themselves when they get downed, but other than that, your partner has to revive you before your down timer runs out or else you die, and you both have to restart from the last checkpoint or whatever. And I swear, it feels to me that you have like a 20% chance of the co-op AI partner not giving a shit about you when you're downed. Even if there are no enemies around, I've had many instances where they just completely ignored me, resulting in a restart.
Jess! Going down, Jess! Need some assistance over here! I'm down for the count, sis! Can you give me a hand? Need a bit of help over here, Jess! Where are you, Jess? I need some assistance! Shot down, Jess! Think I need a hand!
Yeah, it pays to have friends in this game. Overall, Wolfenstein Youngblood, this almost seems like a game that was too ambitious. Trying to change up the entire formula of the series, going more into this RPG open world approach, and for what was a discount spin-off game, remember, this isn't a full price title, by the way, it's only $30 if you weren't aware. I think considering that, it would have been better if they just tried to polish up the issues from the past game and maybe still kept the co-op, but delivered a simpler, more linear game, because I think, yeah, they tried to throw too much into this, and a lot of it just, it doesn't work. I'll reiterate, because this has been very negative, that I think the actual port job was done well. and the gunplay does feel solid. But I'd say out of the Bethesda shooters released so far on Switch, this and Wolfenstein 2 obviously, as well as Doom, this was easily my least favorite of the bunch. So I would recommend people go play those games first. Definitely Doom, like I said at the beginning, still love the Switch release of Doom. If you're someone who perhaps has played those games, loved those games, maybe you have a reliable friend to play through this title with, I think you can still definitely get the value out of it, though I definitely don't think this is a title like everyone should just run out and buy, especially with so many titles coming to the Switch between now and the end of the year. I think there are going to be way better options coming soon. The next Doom Eternal for instance, I have a feeling that'll be way, way better than this. And with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch version of Wolfenstein Youngblood in the comments. Are you currently playing the game, and how do you think it stacks up against Bethesda's previous offerings on the Switch? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of Wolfenstein Youngblood on Nintendo Switch. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter @JohnnyZakari, and join my Discord, ChiGuy and Friends. Link to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.